Hey guys. Hey guys, welcome to A Millennial's Perspective. This is our very first episode.
I'm Reina.
I'm JR.
I'm queer.
I am straight.
You either love us.
Or you hate us.
All right.
Alright,
Go ahead.
so for today's episode, we want to talk about, should trans participate in women's sports?
Absolutely not. I know, coming from my way of reasoning, I really felt like there's always the upper hand of like a cis man, like a person born as a male has an utmost like advantage physically, anatomy wise. And that applies, I guess, like, you know, down the road too, like even by growing up too. So I always felt this somewhat unfair in that way. But there's always, it really depends. I really felt like sometimes when you apply maybe, you know, like the amount of estrogen and testosterone levels and the amount of whatever it is, or even like the body shape tends to be a little more, you know, then there could be a possibility that applies to it. What do you think?
Well, for me, I'm against it. I mean, I'm just saying how it is. I grew up in sports all my life. You know, I played tennis all my life, and I know the difference how a woman performs, or even if they're kids, if a girl performs and a boy performs, it's just not the same. You know what I mean? You could, you know, for a man to pump a lot of estrogen is what you call it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pump a lot of estrogen to the body. It won't change their bone density. It may change a little bit on their muscular structure, but you can't, like, how can you make a man bone, you know, as a woman bone? Like, I don't know. I'm no scientist or doctor, but I don't see any, you know, I don't think you could do that in today's science.
Yeah, no, I agree. But you know, and sometimes when you put yourself, like for me, just being trans, I really felt like if I put myself back then playing in a women's tennis, because that's what I play tennis, and I play against a girl, I really felt like I'm gonna have the upper hand in a way. Maybe the skill level could be a little bit different, and that could differentiate the both of us in terms of who's gonna win or not. But I really felt like, you know, in physicality wise, we're talking about like, you know, the physicality, like the power, the endurance, the agility. That could be a little bit more like just more the upper hand for me. It's for me. So I felt it's a little bit more unfair, at least for the other side.
Yeah, I mean, look, if we were back in high school, and you're going back over 25 years ago, if we were back in high school, we played the Williams sisters, we'll probably get our butts kicked, because they play every single day, and they have the right coaching. You know, we were just high school kids, and it may seem like the men and women's sports are equal, but yeah, if you put us, you know, compared to the Williams sisters back in like the early 2000s. They had the training and everything else, and we were just your regular high school kids just hitting tennis balls like at a local court. So, you know, there could be a gray between that. But if we had the training like the Williams sisters, if we had professional help and professional training, then yeah, we would see a huge difference in how we would play and how the women play.
So I guess it really depends on like the way how you're being trained in a way, just to have that upper hand, or just to have the extra way of winning, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you can't have the best, you know. You can't have like the best tennis player in the world for the men
right.
with the best women. Like there's no comparison.
Well, I guess it really depends on how much experience you have under the court. Because I know Billie Jean King, and she did win a match against like, you know, like opposite, you know, against each other.
Then,
yeah, we're going back way back then.
Some of the 60s, 70s,
but
or
it
something
comes
like
to
that.
show, and Billie Jean King did win that one, so it kind of comes to show that I guess it really doesn't really that like matter, and she kind of proved that wrong. But again, like what he said is like depending on the training and, you know, and much experience.
Yeah, I mean, I have nothing against you know, trans people, to be honest. You know, I love Reina. You know, I don't know if I should call you my sister or my brother, but
no, don't call me brother.
Okay,
no,
I should call you my sister.
My sister.
But like, you know,
keep
but
myself together.
Yeah, but I'm no homophobe. I'm no transphobe. You know, I just think what it boils down to is fairness. You know what I mean? Look at all like one example is like there was like that famous transgender weightlifter. It was a guy in a weightlifting class with women, and he completely destroyed like the women's record, and it's
Yeah.
sort of like,
Yeah.
where's the fairness in that?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I totally agree with it. I totally agree with the fact that if transgender applies, playing against a cis dominated sport like for example I don't know like swimming. I know they're gonna probably like break records, and that's not really fair.
Yeah, that's what happened recently with that trans who went into the women's NCAA tournament or whatever swimming tournament, and completely blew out the competition.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's and I think for the viewers, perspective, because we're all looking at perspectives here. I really felt like if you are looking at, for example, your daughter, playing like running track, and then all of a sudden that this other person is transgender running against your daughter. I mean, it's going to be a little bit more, upsetting for them too as well. It's like that's not fair, but
Yeah, the one thing about for me, like I grew up playing tennis all my life, and I was privileged to get a tennis scholarship, and college is not cheap. You know what I mean? And so if in a women's perspective, if a high school girl is trying to get a sports scholarship
Right.
and is robbed by a transgender,
Right.
It's I don't see again. There's that fairness factor. For me, growing up as kids, we never experienced this before, but we're just kind of like wondering, why is this such a hot topic now?
Well, because right now, like it's very controversial. A lot of people are very heated from the whole topic, and like allowing other genders to play, against against the other people, and it's just like again, like you said, being robbed from scholarship, being robbed even like from injuries, like if they got like punched in the face by a transgender, and they got robbed, and they're completely disabled, they just got robbed, and after all those training and everything else. So it just doesn't make any reason why they should allow trans to play
and boxing
those kind of roles.
And boxing is a good example, because if you saw in the recent Olympics, it was I think two transgender boxers, and they completely, well, I don't know if one of them actually got onto the podium. I know one of them either got silver or gold, but I remember one of the fighters in the first rounds quit after the first round because she said that she was never ever punched like that before because she fought against a trans. I mean, so there are huge differences when it comes to the anatomy of a man and a woman. I mean, I'm no doctor, but that's how I see it.
But you're talking about the anatomy part. Now I'm thinking more of the psychological part. Now, if you're like seeing, like if you are a woman and you are actually gonna like play against or boxing or fighting against the transgender, you would know psychologically, like, I'm being punched by a guy who was born as a guy. So
it's domestic violence.
It's like that too, yeah. So, but so it's like, oh my god, like I know I'm gonna be punched by somebody who was born a guy.
It's like, look how big your shoulder muscles are. Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
So yes, so it's psychologically damaging as well. So that all applies to not just anatomy, but like psychologically too. Like we have to keep this stuff together. But if we're allowing like transgender to play against those kind of those roles, to play those roles, and are allowed to play those kind of sports, then they have to train them psychologically too as well.
Yeah, I mean you also got,
which sucks. But it just
I mean, obviously we're in a society that we want to accept everyone. But the thing is, how I look at it, I just think that a lot of the things we see on television, like the mainstream media, the social media, I think.
Yeah, would you be interested of watching something like that? Because with all fairness, you're like, oh, it's not fair. That's the criticism we're always going to get if we're viewers and we're watching, because that's what the Olympics are, and it's all entertainment.
No, of course.
Are we going to be are you going to be more drawn into the Olympics now just because it's going to be, because it's not going to be fair? Does that make sense? It won't make any sense. Even though like women some of them are built like brick shit houses. I really felt like they're very brute. There's
a lot of women who beat the crap out of me.
Oh, totally, 100%.
Yeah, they train everything, But the difference is that they train. We don't train for certain things.
Okay.
So that's
true.
Probably the only thing. But,
yeah, we're looking at that perspective.
Yeah.
And, because we're just two regular.
Two regular. What is it? The Filipino Americans,
from Jersey.
From Jersey, who we just work, pay our bills, raise families, pay taxes, but we don't train to try to win gold medals.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
granted, yeah, I'm 44.
Yeah, I'm 42.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, early 80s.
So what is the final solution to all this?
Well, for me, I really felt like if you're going to really apply for like trans to play on those kind of roles, I really think that they should have their own category because I think we're very plentiful. I think we're all we're very liberated. I think we're pretty outspoken and if there's a lot of us and it allows us, then we should have our own category.
I watch those transgender sports. Yeah, why not? Like, like basketball, if you have transgender basketball,
At least with all
baseball,
fairness, yes.
Volleyball.
Yes.
I would enjoy watching that, to be honest.
I mean, not to be spiritual or everything else or religious, because God did make a man, God did make a woman, and they're two totally different things. That they're making somebody who are a man but has the thought of being a woman. That should be that's something a whole different category. That's something that we should go ahead and apply to its own thing, and I think that could create a better like entertainment value. I think.
Yeah, I mean, look at the movie Ladybugs. It was like a '90s film with Rodney Dangerfield, and he dressed up his his girlfriend's son as a female, the girl soccer player.
To actually have a winning team.
Yeah, and there was nothing offensive for me. It was nothing offensive about that. I loved Ladybugs. It was a funny movie. It was I just think that we just have to kind of like tone down on like the animosity between like trans and straight, gay and bi. It really doesn't. That's just
like the fundamentals of the reason what because that applies. I think it's very comical. I think it's just I don't think that there should be any kind of reasoning. Just again like this is back in the like 90s, so it's like one of those things that you have to go ahead and just keep it kind of funny and simple.
Yeah, it's
and not being so serious about it.
Yeah, like trans participating in the Olympics, and it's kind of like.
But now we're applying because now that we're living to this, to 2025, where everybody is all talking about, how this is not allowed, or why this is allowed, or what, should this be allowed.
And sometimes it gets a little violent too, to be honest, with like today's age.
Of course.
Yeah. So it's sort of like, see, it was never like that back when we were growing up as kids. You know what I mean? And I think that we, for running this for Millennial Perspective, we want to make sure that we're trying to show you how we were as kids, and that we were having a good time. It wasn't a big issue. Even in the early 2000s, like it was great.
Falls, we have our rises, but but it all applies. Everything should be. It's just kind of fun. We do it as recreational reasons, but not like.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we're just all human beings, just trying to live our lives and just trying to have a good time. Trying to make the best of what we have in front of us, and not what happens like across the world. It doesn't really matter to us.
It doesn't. Because I don't really look at that. I just look at the moment. And. Like again, it's a nice little emotional roller coaster, but you kind of embrace it. We don't really just talk down upon. We don't like, oh my god, but life is a learning experience. So regardless, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So
that's a good point. All right, well, welcome to our show. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us and having us.
Okay, I'm JR.
I'm Reina.
Okay.
I'm queer.
I'm straight.
So you love us
or you hate us. Okay.